Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
After much hemming and much hawing, the White House said we're done with Russian oil energy embargo. Russia's saying, fine, if that's the way you're going to play, we're going to do everything we can to push oil prices over $300 a barrel. Currently, oil, as we speak, Brent crude, $130 a barrel. $130 a barrel. Gas prices are going up. Left, right, and center. You guys are feeling it. You know, I think a lot of us are in a situation where we sit back and we say, you know what, if this is what it takes to end this guy's reign, if this is what it takes to end this nightmare and what's going on in the Ukraine and the invasion of the Ukraine, I'm okay paying an extra 50 cents. I'm okay paying an extra, 65 cents. I always tell everybody, I can't make that judgment for you, but I do know that people have a point where they're like, all right, we've had enough. Right? We've had enough. 50 cents? Yeah, I can do 50 cents, right? You know, what's going on over there? Could I do $3 extra? I don't know if I could do that. This is geopolitics at its absolute worst. The game that's being played. Russia understands this situation here puts them in a tough situation. It's going to make it harder. Shell decided today, we're pulling out. We're not doing this anymore. We're not going to be buying. We're not going to do anything with you guys anymore. We're stepping away. And you're going to find more and more companies do that, understanding there's risk. There's absolute risk that comes with this, but we're going to do it. And the risk is going to be, these guys are all running for re-election. And they understand that this is going to be a situation where people are going to look back and go, you stopped drilling. You made it so there was no Keystone Pipeline. All of the things that you can point at and say, you made us energy dependent upon a man in some ways who decided to hold everybody hostage in Europe, which he's threatened again today. Well, hey, you know what? Got an idea. I'll just turn all the, the oil and gas off to Europe. What do you guys think about that? And in doing so, you've put us at risk. But it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do to step away from this. It's the absolute right thing to do. We should have done this a while ago. We have not felt what's coming to us yet. And I say that because what we're feeling now in the insanity of gas prices, the things that we're feeling at this moment in time, those things were baked into this cake. We've not felt the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which will be coming in the next several days. Inflation? Yeah, get ready for it. And I think some of it is a disconnect. People drive down the street and they see gas going up to $4, whatever it was. And, wherever you are in California, God knows, it's $25,000 a gallon in California. It's nuts. But you look at there and you're like, oh, this sucks. But it's when you start going to the store in the next couple of weeks and you realize, whoa, what's going on here? Yeah, what's going on here is a geopolitical battle on top of the fact that there's a war going on. And that war is nasty, and it's getting uglier and uglier and uglier. And that's the other side of this. We're doing everything we can to participate without participating. You go back to World War II, right? Right? FDR and everybody, they understood what's going on. They're watching, they're listening to Churchill talking essentially about, hey guys, hey everybody over here. Hey, look at us. Look what we're doing. We're fighting off these SOBs pretty much by ourselves on this island. We're taking on a tyranny that is set to threaten the world. But on the back of World War I, there were some laws. People weren't really, isolation-y kind of thing. We want to be trading partners. We don't want to be allies in a war. This is the best that we can do at this moment in time. Zelensky today was in the first time since this thing has started. He was in his office. He's also been getting interviews to the Western press. And once again, standing tall, David Murr from ABC News had an exclusive with him to talk about, well, just really to sit down and pick his brains in ways that is more of him giving a press conference, coming out and saying things, but an actual conversation.
American people, they speak about freedom and they know what is it. And now, when you're looking at Ukrainians, I think you feel what does it mean for us. So we are not far from you. We are not far from you. And that's why, Americans, if you see and if you understand how we feel life, how we fight against all the enemies for our freedom, support us. Support us, and not only with words, with concrete, direct steps. Do it, and I think we'll win. Of course, together with all the world.
What's going on there now is it's awful. See it, shellings, the indiscriminate shellings that are going on. And I think you have two factions here. You have a really an incompetent faction of parts of the military that is, they're not sure about their objective. You've seen a lot of these soldiers that have started calling home. And it's very interesting. If you go back and you saw when the tide turned in Afghanistan is when the parents, especially the moms, got involved with what was going on in Afghanistan during the Russian invasion, and they were sick and tired of sending their kids to basically die. You watch what's going on over there right now. The phone calls back home, and the moms are like shocked, but also these guys are like, they were told not to ask questions. They didn't have a cell phone. They were told basically to shut the blank up and go in, and they had no idea what the hell they were doing. And the more I hear it, the more I'm like, yeah, he sent these guys to die. Yesterday we talked about the Belarusian soldiers. They were like, hold on a second. They're heading back. They're like, this ain't us. Wait. We got involved. Why? To be cannon fodder for a guy that is doing what? Who's lost his mind? Yeah, that's what it is. So you've got a competent group. They've got some tanks around Kyiv because that's where the fight's going to be. At the end of the day, this is it. It's Kyiv and the battle. And that battle's going to get ugly. Because to think that they're going to go in and be able to just, take them one-on-one kind of scenario, that's why he's brought in a ton of soldiers, places that guys were fighting in Syria, things like that, because he's bringing people in that can be brutal. The average Russian fighter doesn't seem to really want any of this, isn't understanding what's going on, can't figure out what the hell is happening, why they're in this position. We're not rescuing somebody here from the tyranny of Nazism. We're coming into their country and we're invading it for some other reason. And they're starting to get that. But then you have the other, more experienced, battle-hardened, they're coming hard. So it's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen in the coming days. And then you've got us over here and the rest of us. The reality is we're dealing with things that are, while pissing us off, while angering us, at the end of the day, when you see what's going on over there and you see what's happening, you could just remember for a quick second, well, hold on a second. I'm in a much better position than so many other people. And that's true. I think we have to remind ourselves of that, because I think too often we're not. We're not reminding ourselves of how lucky we have it, And sometimes I have to remind my little stepdaughters and my son sometimes, hey, you guys, while all is you're pissed about this, you're pissed about that, here's the reality of the world that we're living in. We get to go do whatever the hell we kind of want to do today. Dad's not outside with a gun while I sent you guys off to some other country so I can sit here and basically be cannon fodder for Russian soldiers while I make them cannon fodder so we can die over some madman's desire to reclaim some sort of destiny he believes. I follow this guy. So my uncle about, I don't know, 2-3 months ago tells me, I said, what are you watching, Paul? I said, I watch this couple in Russia. And, it's got their little house and they're doing all their stuff and it's neat to look at, and I said, oh, that's cool. So I started following him about a month or so ago. But then I found another couple and his name is Pavlo. And they all love America. They want to own, real estate here. This couple lives in the Ukraine. And he, over the last several days, has been doing essentially live streams at night, talking about what's going on. And last night, he did another one of his live streams. And it is riveting to watch him because people are asking him questions from over here about what's happening. And he was talking about the shelling and what's going on in his city. And I've watched like 50 of his videos over the last couple of days. Him and his girlfriend, the little area they live in the Ukraine. And I mean, the things that we have, our poor live 1,000 times better. And they're pretty much middle class.
So it's safe in Kiev. But of course, the most horrible that they can do airstrikes, and they can hit some areas using missiles. So I'm scared. I'm scary about it because they can hit like any area, and who knows when and where.
Yeah, who knows when and where. And they just keep moving. And we are so blessed in this country that we're never going to be in a position like that. Nobody's coming here. Nobody's going to invade us. There is no Red Dawn situation that's happening. We are blessed. But I tell you what, it sucks what's going on, and oil's going to shoot through the roof even more. Gas prices are going to get higher. We still worry about, are we going to be dragged into this on fighting terms? But we need to sometimes refocus. And the one thing I will say, I've never, in all of the times of doing this, as well as all of the times that I've seen, my friends and family and who are all on different political sides of the aisle, all of them agree on something for once. Putin is a douche canoe, and he needs to go, and this is wrong. 323-538-2423, at Chad Benson Show, your Twitter. Tweet us. Text the program. Love hearing from all of you. CarShield, America's #1 auto protection company. And what do they have for you? Well, what they have for you are plans to fit anybody's budget. With car prices going through the roof, the last thing you want is that check engine light to come on. And once it comes on, you're like, what's this going to cost me? Knowing full well that the expensive cars, again, through the roof, especially used cars, parts going up, labor going up. Oh, my goodness. That's where CarShield comes in. You get 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. You choose the shop. They get them paid directly. They do the paperwork and everything. Over 1 million drivers have been helped by CarShield, and they're ready to help you. Right now, go to carshield.com, carshield.com/Benson. Save 10%. What? Carshield.com/Benson saves you 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
Welcome to Chad. No, not the country. The institution. The Chad Benson Show.
Nightmare. Gas prices going through the roof. Be prepared for that. Hey, do you guys remember this thing called COVID? That seems to have disappeared, right? That's weird. I wonder what happened to that thing. It's gone, but it doesn't mean stupid things still aren't happening places. Case in point, New York City, their Mayor Adams, who at times I think is neat, and other times I think to myself, what the hell are you talking about?
If you were talking to a 4-year-old and they're trying to explain why they have to keep their mask on, but their 6-year-old brother doesn't, what is your explanation to that 4-year-old?
I'm so happy you said that, because when I was in Rockaway in the St. Pat's Day Parade, I did just that. A group of parents brought me and talked to their children and explained to them. I told them, you're going to be taking off your mask like your big brothers and sisters are doing now. You know, when you have big brothers and sisters, sometimes they do things first to make sure it's safe for you. And those children, they understand it because they trust their parents and they trust their leadership. They're not tainted like adults. You know, they still feel that we have to make the right decisions for them.
So 4-year-olds still have to wear a mask while their 5-year-old brother and sister don't, because you're insane. By the way, if you're listening anywhere in the country and kids are still in mask, that is beyond wrong. That is cruel. That is absolutely, there's no science to back this up at this point in time. There is nothing to back any of this up. And the kind of masks that kids were wearing weren't stopping anything anyways. And when you have children as the least likeliest, this is the funny thing. You're over 65, you're out of shape, comorbidities, you don't have to wear a mask. If you're under a certain age, right, healthy as can be, with zero chance of dying from it, you must wear a mask. Good God, the insanity of these people. I don't even know what to say at this point in time. I don't. Sometimes you sit back and you think to yourself, if these are the people that led us through the insanity of COVID in a piss poor way, what are they going to lead us through potentially in a war and potentially in a situation that could get, I mean, you know, just, I couldn't even, I don't know. Like the energy issue. Who's leading who here at this point? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. So much stuff still to squeeze into. Again, Biden is done with Russian oil. Good. What's it going to look like? How nasty is it going to get for us, the consumers here? And again, we're feeling it at places like, oh, when I go to Starbucks, it costs more. It costs more to fill up my car. And that is understandable. And the frustration of the grocery station and stuff, but understand, too, what other people around the globe are going through, in particular, Ukraine. And sometimes you could take a step back and go, you know what, for all the nightmare that we're going through, for all the struggles that some of us are having, the reality is I'd rather be here than anywhere else. Plus, an NFL star is suspended for a year, kind of Pete Rossi style. Talk about that, too. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Biden's starting to do something that, quite frankly, I agree with him on. That's right. I said it. Mark it down. I agree with him. We are going to stop importing any oil from Russia. And it's the oil buyers will tell you, you know, it's hard to pick and choose certain things that are out there in the open market, but this is the right thing to do. The Russians, of course, have done what the Russians, you know, in particular, and I say Russians, let's be real. It is the Pooter. The Pooter is doing what the Pooter is doing, which is basically coming out and he's continuing to sell lies to his people. He's continuing to sell lies to the world on what he will and won't do. Wall Street Journal put it great the other day. First and foremost, hey guys up there running stuff, the old War Department, if you will. Stop telling Putin and everybody else what we won't do. Every once in a while, when he says, hey, guess what? I'm going to blow you guys up. You say, what? Oh, yeah, I'm going to blow you guys up because I got nuclear weapons. You remind him, so do we. And based on the military we're seeing, you should be lucky we've not stepped in here yet. Because they don't look thrilled. They don't look competent. So settle your ass down. And what you spend on your military, which the amount of money they spent on their military, they tried to rebuild their military over the last decade because it kind of fell into disrepair and just they started to rebuild it. They spent about $40 billion a year on the military. We spend almost $750 billion. We spend double in a month what they spend in a year. Think about that. We spend double. So let's remind him every once in a while, yes, you know what? You have nukes. France has nukes. UK has nukes. Israel has nukes. We've got nukes. Do we remind you of we've got nukes? So let's remind you again. India has nukes. Pakistan has nukes. North Korea has like a few nukes. China has some, but again, how reliable is all of these things? It's crazy. But you continue to lie to your people, and you're threatening now Europe. We're going to shut off all of the energy to you guys. Oil's going to go up $300. So you want to have an economic game of fun? Fine. Go ahead. You're into a position now. There is no winning for you at this moment in time. You don't come out of this on the other side where the world welcomes you back in, where everybody opens up the doors and their coffers and they get back into Russia. Not until you're gone. You've lied to your soldiers, and it wasn't bad information, right? You lied to your soldiers. Think about that. He took to TV this morning, and I'm going to read what he is saying here because, well, as the soldiers are calling home saying it's a lie, the mothers in particular and the wives are causing a stink. If you go back to Afghanistan, when they invaded, the moms got on board of this is a stupid war, and that really turned the tide, a lot of people think. So people are finding out as their kids are calling home saying this is a lie. Well, guess what? He takes to the old television today. I'd like to address the mothers, wives, sisters, and brides, and girlfriends. Right? Never the fathers. Our soldiers and officers who are in battle now, he says, to defend Russia as part of the special military operation. I know you're worried for your loved ones. You can be proud of them just as the whole country is proud and feels for them. I underline the conscript soldiers are not and will not be involved in combat operations. I don't think anybody believes that, nor will there be additional mobilization of reserves. Again, probably a lie. They set goals will be achieved by our professional soldiers, and I'm confident they will reliably ensure security and peace for the Russian people. People aren't buying it anymore. And it's going to take a while. It is. It is. But oil prices through the roof. People are feeling it on a daily basis. And the Biden administration today coming out, I applaud him for it. But, you know, much like what was going on in Ukraine, that Zelensky kind of jacked the pooch. People didn't believe Russia was going to attack. Everybody's telling him they're going to attack. He could have prepared them in a much better way. He could have made it so, even though they have failed and flailed in certain areas, that it could have been 10 times worse. We should have been prepared for this in a much better way. But we weren't. We were energy independent a few years ago, right? Of course, we go back to this. You're going to hear a lot of this.
And you're paying, what, $2 a gallon for your gasoline? That's okay. You know what that's like? That's like a tax cut. That's bigger than a tax cut. If Biden got in, you'd be paying $7, $8, $9. Then they say, get rid of your car.
There was a lot to win in that. Yes, we were energy independent. We were exporting tons of oil, more than we were consuming, which is phenomenal. The other side of things is we'd also stopped driving for a while, which helps when the world shuts down and nobody's driving. Their dependence upon oil is no longer needed. And because of that, oil wasn't the hot commodity it is at this moment in time. The reality is we've started consuming again, consuming in ways that we did pre-COVID, not just here, but globally. You couple that with the fact that now COVID's over and people are heading back to work. You've got a nightmare. We should have been prepared for this as this started to happen last year and people were raising the alarm. Hey, Biden. Wake him up. Wake him up. Biden. Yeah, you okay? Okay, fantastic. Hi. Yeah, you're okay. Hey, They're doing stuff, man. And I feel this is going to get ugly. We need to look at all of the situations that we can be involved in, including what our energy policy is going to be just in case. Now, I know the greenies out there are going to be mad at you, but the voters are going to be even more angry, and their voice will be so loud that you'll be spending the next 2 years as a lame duck president if we don't sort something out.
The Biden administration has been looking for alternative sources of energy, sending senior officials in recent weeks to Venezuela and Saudi Arabia for discussions about energy security. Last week, President Biden authorized a release of 30 million barrels of crude oil from the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve. This follows a release of 50 million barrels from the SPR in November amid a supply chain crunch. A poll from NPR, PBS NewsHour, and Marist last week found 69% of Americans said they supported economic sanctions on Russia, even if that resulted in higher energy prices here in the U.S.
But it doesn't stop at energy prices. Food prices are going to go up, right? There's the cost, the daily cost of living, the daily cost of goods, not to mention the fact that oil is in pretty much every plastic and thing we use. All of those things are going to see higher prices. So don't have the disconnect that just because gas has gone up, $1, that nothing else is going to be affected by it. And at a time when inflation right now is starting to run rampant, we're in an energy crunch. We should have been thinking about this ahead of the game. And we weren't. And we should have. And there's only so much you can do. I can't blame him for everything. But it's hitting people. And it's hitting people where? Well, right there in their old pocket.
It's hitting the pockets pretty hard.
Yep.
Yeah.
You think? Absolutely. This is what I think you're going to see a lot more of. We spent 2 years pretty much off and on working at home or hybriding it, depending on where you were in the country. 2 years. And then all of a sudden, COVID starts to die down, and we're like, hey, let's get back out there.
They're to the point where they're begging their companies to let them work remotely. But in some cases, they just don't have that type of a job. So they have to commute.
Yeah. But if you're a boss right now and your people don't have to be there 5 days a week and they were holding their own at home, there is no reason right now not to give them a quote unquote a raise at this moment in time by allowing them to continue to work from home unless it's absolutely necessary to have people inside the office. We opened up the office back here. Now I'm like a contract with the company and have my own company, and but I work out the studios, and they're nice enough, kind enough to do that. And I do my local show here. They just opened up the studios again for everybody and took off the mask like last Monday. And within 24 hours, they told everybody, look, here's the deal, minus the host who are coming in, the rest of you can pretty much work remotely. At this point in time, once a week, come in, big sales meeting, those kind of things. But outside of that, let's continue with remote because that's going to help. It does. But be prepared that it's going to get worse before it gets better. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Dr. And Director Walensky, as we talk about, the COVID earlier, they're still making kids wear masks in certain areas, which is just to me, it boggles my mind. And it's frustrating to say the least. She had an epiphany, a moment of clarity and honesty, talking about the vaccines. And I found this to be interesting because it's the thing we have said all along. Stop calling it a vaccine with the way that we think vaccines work.
I can tell you where I was when the CNN feed came that it was 95% effective on the vaccine. So many of us wanted to be hopeful. So many of us wanted to say, okay, this is our ticket out, right? Now we're done. So I think we had perhaps too little caution and too much optimism for some good things that came our way. I really do. I think all of us wanted this to be done. Nobody said waning when oh, this vaccine's going to work. Oh, well, maybe it'll work, it'll wear off. Nobody said, well, what if the next variant it's not as potent against the next variant.
Yeah. Nobody said waning. And I said, look, call it a shot. Say, look, this is a prevention shot. This will prevent you in many cases from catching it and from almost all cases of getting severely ill and going to the hospital. But when we hear vaccine, what comes to our mind is the measles, the mumps, rubella, whatever. You take the shot, boom, polio, and you're done, and you move on with your life. And that's what this wasn't. You know, I always tell everybody, did you get the flu shot? Nobody said flu vaccine, but they said you get the flu shot. Oh, yeah, I got the flu shot. Because you can still get the flu, but you're not going to get really sick from the flu. And the way it was rushed out and painted, yeah, because they wanted to have that kind of hope that this thing was going to be the magic cure-all, and it isn't. I expect there'll be something in the next, I would say, several months that comes out where maybe you take this shot if you want to take it, every 24 months or every couple of years. But the reality is we'll probably have more treatments, and slowly but surely, unless there's some variants you haven't heard a word about COVID since the war started, but even once it started collapsing as far as the numbers and this thing, you haven't really heard a word about it. And I don't think you're going to hear a lot more. It's going to be endemic rather than pandemic. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. We're going to get to the Calvin Ridley story of, oh my God, what the blank were you thinking, NFL player. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Love it and what it's done for my dogs. About 24 months ago, we got a couple new puppies, and we started giving it to them early. But we really noticed what it did for our dog, Doodle, about 2.5, 3 years ago, which is his body is in such better shape because he doesn't worry about his arthritis. He's got more energy. His hips don't hurt like they used to. He's a little dog. He's not a big dog. He's much older. But the energy he has to keep up with the puppies is amazing. And it's got vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9. You sprinkle it on top of the dog's food. It brings your dog's food to life. It's incredible. Right now, Rough Greens wants you to try it before you buy it. It's called Canine VitaSmart. All they want you to do is cover the cost of shipping. RUFFgreens.com/Chad gets you a free bag. Just cover the cost of shipping. Roughgreens.com/Chad or call 833-MY-DOG-77. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
Well, moments ago, the NFL just suspended the Falcons' standout wide receiver for at least the 2022 season for betting on games. Now, you remember during the season that Ridley was away from the Falcons training complex to deal with mental health issues, and the NFL believes it has found enough evidence to determine that during a 5-day span in November, Ridley bet on football games, and the league conducted an investigation and concluded that there was enough evidence to make Calvin Ridley the latest player suspended indefinitely for betting on football games.
That's right. One of the best receivers, high-profile player in the NFL. He is suspended for 1 year at least. At least. He bet on games. Oh, did he bet millions? He bet $1,500. 15 hundos. That was it. That we know of. And it was weird. He was supposed to be away for issues relating to mental health, and away he goes to Florida, which is, it's Florida.
Now, you remember during the season that Ridley was away from the Falcons training complex to deal with mental health issues, and the NFL believes it has found enough evidence to determine that during a 5-day span in November, Ridley bet on football games.
Yeah, including the Falcons, who he plays for to win. He was not in the game. And apparently the alarm was raised. This is pro sports' worst nightmare. He was supposed to make $11.1 million. I don't think he's in any kind of money trouble, but you never know. The alarm was raised because he was in Florida, and he had to sign up for something outside of there. And in doing so, his name was picked out, and the alarm was raised, and it was brought to the NFL. They were trying to trade him last year, and a bunch of teams were like, hey, we just got a call from the NFL, and they said, don't touch this guy because there's problems. The Falcons apparently had no idea of what was going on, and so that sucks. Sucks if your best player is in a situation now where you're not going to be able to even trade him because he's not going to be able to play. That sucks big time. Something that doesn't suck. Remember, persistence, kids. Persistence. We talk about it. Be persistent. And these guys did.
It's been a long journey to number one for the Glass Animals song, Heat Waves.
Sometimes I think about you.
59 weeks ago, it entered the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart at number 100. And over more than a year, it steadily climbed until now, where it's number one. That 59 weeks, the longest journey to number one in chart history, beating Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You, which took 35 weeks to hit the top. And only 10 other songs have gone from the very bottom to number one. Glass Animals is an indie rock pop band out of England, up for Best New Artist at this year's Grammys.
Yeah, Glass Animals, number one. What's not number one is Kanye's new album, because Billboard won't allow it to be on, because you have to buy a special player to play the songs. So Billboard says, sorry, we're not going to allow that. So we're not going to let you chart. Kanye. Kanye's Kanye. Apparently wrote a poem about his death, too, which is interesting. He's different. Just want to say that. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Look in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's oil prices. About to get higher. You know what that means for you and I at the pump? You know what that means at you and I for, well, pretty much everything at this moment in time. But in a good move, in a right move, the Biden administration today is going to ban Russian oil, which is the right move right now. Now, we should have been forward thinking and figuring out, hey, how are we going to supplement? Then they are. They're going to Maduro in Russia, who, by the way, Maduro in Russia, in Venezuela. Venezuelans are heading home because he is starting to look around and go, all right, we need to have some sort of capitalism here because this crap doesn't work. And so you're finding some Venezuelans starting to head home. The other thing is he is, again, we're in the midst of this negotiation with Iran. But the thing is with Iran, you got to think Israel. And you also think Saudi Arabia, which is the first place, the only place you need to go. You make a phone call, you invite him here, you meet him somewhere, whatever it is that you have to do to look at MBS and say, turn it on, brother. What can you do? How can you make this happen? How can you put the squeeze on them and turn it on? So we're looking for. Now, they're doing those things, but it's not going to help anytime soon. And, of course, we need to be more energy independent. We know that. We don't need dependency. But the reality is oil prices are shooting up over $130 a barrel, and it's not like we used a ton.
It is a relatively small portion of what the United States obtains, but when you take any of that supply out of the global market, you see oil prices climb. Oil prices are the most significant factor to what you pay at the pump.
Yeah, absolutely. So oil prices are going to be climbing. So be prepared for another nightmare in the gas world. Be prepared for that. Understand that going at this moment in time, when you go to purchase, what you're paying for today is the beginning of the invasion. What we're going to be paying for in 2 and 3 weeks is the invasion in whole. It is not stopping here at this moment in time. The question always is, where could it go? Where could it go? I don't know. I mean, right now, the Russians are talking about cutting the spigot off to all of Europe. Could we see this thing shoot up to, $200 a barrel? I think that's a reality. The one good thing in the oil producers themselves are at a big energy conference in Texas. And again, part of the reason that we stopped producing Some of it wasn't just, they came in and they got rid of it. And, part of that is real, right? Making it tougher. The other part of it it was so cheap. Oil was a few years ago because people weren't driving. Our consumption was worldwide wasn't what it was. And so for producers, it wasn't worth it to create any new oil. It wasn't worth it to go out and say, hey, we're going to go produce, 1 million barrels in the next week, because they were losing X amount of dollars per barrel. So at that point in time, they're like, they cap them and they move on. Keep the leases. There's 9,000 leases that are sitting there right now. But Katie Minert, who is the CEO of Ally Energy, said this today, and I agree with her. It's going to suck for a while, but
I don't think this is going to last very long. I think that's why you don't see companies responding very quickly, right, by hiring up their workforces or drilling more oil and gas. However, if we were to drill more oil and gas here in the States, we would protect our supply position.
Yeah. And that's very true. We need to do that. We've known that. And stop kowtowing to the energy environmental people out there who've by the way been sold a bill of goods by the green money people and by the likes of Russia and many others who want us to be dependent upon their oil. All the while they're going to produce a ton of oil, not care about the environment, and go nuclear. And I'm not talking about bombs, I'm talking about energy. So we become dependent upon them because they're consuming far less than we're consuming. But this is going to sting for a while. And part of that is going to be, how long does this thing go? Obviously. And the other part of it is how does the world react? Including the likes of Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, potentially Iran, as far as making it up in other places, if that's a possibility. But it also puts us in situations where we're dealing with people that, we're right back to where we were. It's like we're dealing with Venezuela, Maduro, Iran, right? Khomeini. And then MBS in Saudi Arabia, where you're essentially going, I've got to deal with three people that I would rather not deal with, who in many cases I find them to be as important as Putin. But obviously what Putin's doing at this moment in time is of the utmost importance because Putin has the thing that the others don't, which is nuclear weapons, and he's threatening. Earlier today, Zelensky spoke to his people, as he does. First time he's been seen in his office as Kiev's ready for a battle. And the battle's coming. And it's just when is it coming? They've stalled in some areas. They've got a massive tank brigade almost. Some people are saying that it's moved into parts of the west of the city. And he is continuing to ask for the thing that we cannot deliver at this moment in time.
The president and NATO have said no to this no-fly zone because of concerns this could trigger a much wider conflict, a much bigger war than what we're seeing already, because there would have to be a willingness to shoot Russian planes out of the sky. Do you understand that concern?
What do you mean to shoot down Russian planes? If the missile is flying, yesterday, for example, the missile hit the university in the city of Kharkiv and the dormitory, and the same missile hit the tumor pediatric clinic in Kyiv. So if this missile is flying, so are you thinking whether to shoot it down or not? I think there is no any other answer.
No, we can't. We cannot. I mean, it's just, I've seen several Democrats. It's an emotional thing, right? Like you see kids who are dead. I saw a kid yesterday who's walked some 600 miles. He's my son's age. He's 11. And he is just in a position where your heart is broken. My on-air partner this morning tweeted something out, or late last night. you see this couple running into a hospital, and they have a child my daughter's age. She's like 3, and they've been shelled, and they're all bloody, and this kid is, you could tell there's just nothing. They're struggling to get any kind of pulse, and eventually the child died, and you're devastated over that. But emotionally, we need to take a step back, because the potential of this thing getting into an area where it could go nuclear, and I'm not even sure if we got involved that it would go nuclear, but the potential is there. And to see the amount of people that could, for all intents and purposes, die from that is tough. We have to stay the course. Now, obviously that changes if he attacks a NATO ally. That changes if he decides that he is going to, go into maybe Sweden or Finland and expand or do whatever he thinks he needs to do from there. Even though they're a NATO, I could see us immediately recognizing them as a NATO ally and getting involved. Those things could change. But at this moment in time, we're staying the course, and it's the right thing to do. And people emotionally, they see that, and we say to ourselves, I want to kick that guy straight in the grundle because he's a bully. But at this moment, cooler, calmer heads need to prevail. And that's the reality. The best that we can do is make sure that Poland and all of the countries that are receiving the Ukrainians have all of the stuff that they need, money, food, anything, and that they have all the weapons. And by the way, weapons. There are some 17,000 javelins, if not more, there already. And maybe as many Stingers, because the battle for Kiev is going to get ugly. And one of their generals said, on the ground, one-on-one, we're comparable. And probably more so, because they have the one thing, I think, that the Russians don't seem to have, which is this want. I think the Russians are confused. You've got a bunch of young guys who are fighting, who were sold a bill of goods, and they're finding that out. And yeah, you have some bad dudes there too, the Russians, and they're bringing in some bad dudes, people who are fighting in Syria. All that being said, it would be about even, if not, a bit of advantage. But once they get to Kyiv, I think the advantage could go straight to the Ukrainians until the shelling starts to get to a point where it's ridiculous. But what have you done? You've destroyed their villages, you've destroyed their towns, you've destroyed their cities, and now you're going to occupy it? So your 20-something soldiers can be terrified that every day of work that they're doing is the last day because a sniper's going to take them out from somewhere. How are you going to be remembered? Douche canoe. Putin. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from all of you. I do. MyPillow right now. Go to mypillow.com/Benson. Save big on all these amazing deep discounts on everything from the MyPillow at its lowest price ever to the Giza Dream Sheets to the incredible mattress topper to you name it. It is everything and then some of deep, massive discounts. And now's your chance to save. Again, when you go there, know that everything's made in America, which is fantastic. That's a great thing. Discounts are the biggest they've ever been. 6-day money-back guarantee. You will not be disappointed in any of their products. Check it out. MyPillow.com/Benson. MyPillow.com/Benson. Use Benson when you're checking out. You'll save big. MyPillow.com/Benson. Chad Benson Show.
To be free. I am not a terrorist. I am not Antifa. I am not a sex slave that wears masks.
Don't be a cutie pie.
Probably sit around and cook some soups and eat bread and desserts and just get all fat and sassy.
You're running my life, man!
Yeah, you haven't seen anything yet.
You're listening to The Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out
What's trending? What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending?
Let's take a peek, find out what's trending. Start in the world of Google. Oh, Google. What is trending? International Women's Day today. So if you're a woman and you're international, fantastic. Congratulations. Calvin Ridley, NFL superstar wide receiver, suspended for a year for gambling on football. That's the least he is going to get. There'll probably be more to the story. Oil prices continuing to shoot up as Biden has announced that he is going to ban imports of Russian oil. By the way, the EU has just announced they are moving up the timeline. 2030 is when they were going to ban Russian oil officially. That has now been bounced up to, I'm not quite sure when, but they're trying to do it as fast as possible. Be prepared for a crazy ride. Gas prices also trending up, 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 and away. Oh, jeez. Russian gymnast Ivan Klyak is criticized for shocking behavior. He wore a Z on his chest at a gymnastics event. He won the bronze. The Ukrainian won the gold, but they were up there together. And, well, he's pro-Russian. There you go. Thinks what's going on is cool. Probably as misled as anybody else, or he's a Richard. Those are your choices. Head over to Twitter. Evacuations continuing from the largest Ukrainian cities as the attacking continues. There's a corridor in Mariupol, officials say, but it's a hit or miss with the way that the Russians are attacking. And you don't know now, too, especially as they're moving these awful Syrian fighters in who are fighting over there in Syria, as well as the Chechens. There is, you're hearing awful stories about what's going on. And I expect there to be a lot more of those in the coming days and weeks. Ray Rice is trending. He is a football player who in 2014 was suspended for 2 games for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy. He's trending because people are asking, why is it that he got suspended for hitting his girlfriend and Calvin Ridley is suspended for a season for betting? The reason is, once everybody saw the video of Ray Rice hitting his girlfriend, rather than it was a domestic dispute with limited, how should we say this, limited information. Once we saw the video, Ray Rice never played a game ever again in the NFL. Once we saw him punch her and then drag her. Oh, yeah, I could see that. And J.K. Rowling's in trouble again because she criticized the Scottish government plans to reform gender recognition laws. And so, we hate you because of the thing that you're like, there's a man and a woman and that's what it is. And let's not devalue women. You shouldn't just be able to call yourself a woman. And then everybody's like, you're evil and you hate trans people, which is, I don't know, maybe she does hate trans people. Or maybe she loves being a woman and understands what that means to her. And maybe that's it. But, we can't have different arguments here anymore or questions about stuff because, anger. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. More of what's going on in Ukraine. Gas prices. Where could they go? Talk about that. And by the way, being happy means being agreeable. What? Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Gas prices going up, 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 up. Reason for that is pretty simple. Oil And oil prices set to jump even more. It is getting ugly out there, Pooh Bear. Currently, oil sitting right around 130. It's been bouncing around, but it's over 130 and staying steady right about there. The gasoline market is also shooting up, but oil is the thing to watch, and it's the energy market. What's it mean? Well, we're banning Russian oil imports. The EU, it looks like they're stepping up in some way, shape, or form. Putin is threatening to push oil to $300 a barrel, which, I don't know how he thinks that helps him any. And he's caught between a rock and a hard place at this moment in time, something he has done to himself. And he continues to push the envelope while the whole of the world, minus a few places, and one of those being China, says, you know what, we're not going to do with this. We're not going to deal with you anymore. But gas prices are, so the things that we've been feeling at the pump for the last several weeks were fundamental things that were built into the market with speculators and hedgers, people trying to hedge their bets because maybe they had oil or whatever it is. So they're hedging their bets, and they've pushed the price up a little bit out of fear and scarcity among, all the things that are going on, how the world would react. And that's been built in. What we're going to feel now is the more or less the repercussions of that. So think of it as a week to 2 week lagging kind of thing. Remember COVID, right? The numbers, like the deaths, were always lagging comparatively. Kind of feel that way about this. And I hate to bring COVID up, but feel that way about this is the things that we're seeing today we'll feel in a week to 10 days.
Americans right now at these prices are spending about $250 million more a day on gasoline than they were a month ago. That means less money to go elsewhere. It also means that you're going to pay more for things like food, for things like your clothing, for things like flying, because all of these things take gasoline. They take fuel to run the business.
Yeah. And so true. Next time, think about this for a second. You're driving and you're paying X amount of dollars for something as far as gas, right? Depending on where you are in the country, you're paying $4.25. Producer Phil, what'd you spend? $4.19?
$4.17.
$4.17 out there in Virginia. I paid $4.29 this morning. But if you have a place that has diesel, look and see what that's at. Because that's the stuff that gets you stuff to the store. That's the stuff that takes it from point A to point B. That's going up. That costs you. It's a trickle-down effect that trickles up into your pocketbook. And then, of course, we have the nightmare that is going on in the Ukraine. And it is ugly, and it is going to get worse. It is. It is going to get worse before it gets better. Zelensky is, man, that guy is pushing hard in every way, shape, or form. He's addressing Parliament. He's addressing his people. He is not going anywhere, and he is continuing to lead. He's continuing to lead because he's strong. He's continuing to lead because he's a person that recognizes that he is in a position that as a guy who went to law school, a comedian, a YouTube star, a Dancing with the Stars star, who's elected president by a massive margin, coming into a nation that is pretty poor by European standards. And that's an understatement. I follow these two, just off topic really quick. I follow these two YouTubers. My uncle's watched one of them, and he used to find it fascinating. He's like, look at these people over here. Like, you're blessed, and they're in Russia. And it's like, you're like, oh, okay, it's this couple and they got a kid and all they want to do is, they love America. They taught themselves to speak English by watching movies and television shows and YouTube, and they speak pretty damn good English. And then about, several weeks ago, I found this other couple that lives in Ukraine. And to compare the two, the contrast is massive. Ukraine is poor. Like, middle class standard is They don't have plumbing in many of these places like we would think. They have an outhouse kind of. It is so like you're like, wow. That is, when you look and you see, and they're going and they're like, this couple's like, yeah, to live here, it's like, these houses are huge. And they're like, yeah, you'd have to pay like $20,000 and which is unfathomable. But it is, they can go shopping for $10 for the whole week. They grow their own. I mean, this is a nation that doesn't have a lot. And this guy comes in and he is somebody who, for all intents and purposes, has to clean up a mess. His first introduction into geopolitics is dealing with Trump. But he is not giving out hope. He is staying steady in a country that was massively corrupt, in a country that was poor by European standards. He is not giving up because he feels that there is an ending here where they win.
So you will stay until the end, no matter what that means.
Well, I would like the end to be like in the Hollywood movies, the happy end for our country.
David Murr right there, speaking with him today. He also was very, very, very stern with, hey, America and everybody, great that you got nice words, but
American people, they speak about freedom and they know what is it. And now, when you're looking at Ukrainians, I think you feel what does it mean for us. So we are not far from you. We are not far from you. And that's why, Americans, if you see and if you understand how we feel life, how we fight against all the enemies for our freedom, support us. Support us, and not only with words, with concrete, direct steps. Do it, and I think we'll win. Of course, together with all the world.
I don't know. I don't know if they're going to make it hell. They are. One thing they have going for them is the commitment of fighting for your freedom. Something else extra on the line. Besides just fighting to survive, the commitment of fighting for the freedom, for the betterment of your people, for the betterment of your children, there's an extra oomph and a gear there. And I think that is going to help them. Do I still think they can win? They'll win the occupation. But do I think they're going to win the war? I don't even know what that looks like. I think to win the war, essentially, you're going to have people in Russia get so loud that eventually somebody either oust him or, well, because he's not pulling it back. So somebody would have to oust him. Putin. And if that happens, then yeah, I think they could win. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. I just don't. Not at this point in time. I mean, that's just kind of, it sucks, but that's kind of the reality of what people are looking at. Is to get him out of there. Who's going to do it? First of all, he's surrounded by his musketeers. That's what they call the men that guard him. And if you've ever seen these guys, right? So to understand what Putin's bodyguards are like, they are, I guess you would say you would have to go to central casting and say, give me all of the guys that look like they never laugh. They've never laughed. They've never been held. They've never been hugged. They have zero emotion in anything in life. Okay, found them. Now, let's make sure that they're beyond trained. Let's make sure that they have armor-piercing bullets, that they also had stuff that they can carry with them that will protect me, meaning they have briefcases that are bulletproof. Oh, on top of that, I want to make sure that I have at least one, if not two, taste testers, because, he is the king of poison. And they can't sweat in the summer, and they can't be cold in the winter. Those are some of the other things. Oh, my God. Like, it's nuts, but, man, they are exactly what you think they would be. And they have to retire at 35. It's like being in Menudo. Remember the band Menudo? You were kicked out of the band when you were a certain age. It's kind of like that. Except the difference is you get to retire, and Putin is going to handpick you get to be governor of this region or whatever, which is where it all starts to happen for you. They call them the Musketeers. So I think the only way they win at this point in time is that, or if they turn this thing into an occupation where you break the bank. But, when people last week were saying, the Brits and the Americans are saying this could be a 10 to 20 year thing, that's nuts. It's possible. It feels that way. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. I do. Speaking of stuff going up, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm going to have to do that. One of the other things that goes on in the Ukraine is wheat. And wheat prices are really, really high.
Russia's invasion of Ukraine is putting the world supply of wheat in grave danger. I'm ABC's Megan Williams in Rome. Food is an urgent worry for the hundreds of thousands of people fleeing or trapped in besieged towns and cities in Ukraine. But the war is also having a paralyzing effect on wheat production and transportation to Europe, Africa, and Asia. Russia and Ukraine combined produce almost a third of the world's wheat supply.
You have Ukraine with all the ports closed, so they can't export.
Says economist with the Rome-based World Food Program, Frederica Grieb. Sanctions against Russia have not yet targeted food commodities. So, in principle, Russia could export its wheat, says Grieb. But insurance premiums due to potential missile hits of ships have soared, bringing the exportation of wheat and other staples to a standstill in the Black Sea.
Suddenly you have this huge chunk of supplies cut off from the global wheat market.
The prices of food staples, already rising with the cost of energy, have now hit all-time highs. Experts say millions more people in poorer countries who were already struggling to put food on the table with the effects of the climate crisis and COVID recession are now at risk of hunger.
Yeah. And wheat's at an all-time high here. And again, we haven't hit their food exports. Don't think that's off the table. I don't think it should be off the table. And one of the other things that people are starting to understand too is that SWIFT, that way that everybody gets paid. While they're switching over to the Chinese version of it, which does about 12 to 15,000, maybe 20,000 messages a day, the SWIFT does millions of those a day. So it's not a lot. People think, oh, this is the end of the dollar. I think it's the end of the dollar. Everybody settle down. But the reality is a lot of companies don't want to deal with anything that isn't SWIFT. And so they don't trust now that Russia is going to be dependable on certain things, especially paying some of their debts. Especially after yesterday, they came out and that little, these are all the countries we hate. Well, they're telling the law that they passed of all the countries they hate. There was a law inside there, that tells them now that every debt has to be paid in rubles. Yeah, I don't want your rubles. Give me your useless rubles, whatever you decide it's worth, which is nothing. So slowly but surely, it's starting to ramp up on them. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. A lot of stuff still to squeeze in. Are you agreeable? Talk about it straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
Serving up talk radio medium rare and dripping with irony. It's Chad Benson.
Are you agreeable? You want to have a happy life? We always talk about that. Happy wife, happy life, things of that nature. Being agreeable is important according to a new study. And one of those places is work, which is crazy. Hey, politicians, I want you to listen to this and everybody else out there. Being agreeable can help in every way.
New research reports having the personality trait of agreeableness can improve your job performance and help you win in life. Their findings showed agreeableness offered desirable effects on hundreds of physical, psychological, and occupational metrics. One important finding was that people who had high levels of agreeableness had a 93% success rate.
Yeah. And here's the thing. It doesn't mean you say yes to everything. What you do is you pick and choose the battles of which that you feel strongly enough. We don't do that anymore. Now we fight in every way, shape, or form. Work doesn't, if you couldn't get along with your coworkers, right, at all, how many of us have had a coworker where you're like, I can't stand this person, and if you haven't, it's you, or the boss or whatever, and nobody seems to agree, and you're like, this place is doomed. Pretty much everywhere. And it's not about it's my way or the highway. It's about understanding, you know what, this is when, yes, I'm going to stand up, and this is it. And other things are like, you guys think that's the right thing to do. Maybe I don't agree, but this isn't worth the battle and the headache it's going to cause. Well, that's just stupid. You should stand up for everything. Everybody's trying to win the battle. You got to learn to win the war.
And here's some of those. Self-transcendence, aspirations of self-directed growth, and motivation to show care for others. In other words, not sitting there to, what do you want me to do? Teamworking and empathetic capacity to cooperate effectively, regardless of the role. Everyone works to meet all goals. I mean, we all know the guy, that's not my job. Yeah, I mean, the place could be on fire. And no, I'm not in charge of calling 911. Not my job.
Yeah. You start to get that way once you know you can't stand the job, and the guy that screwed something up or gal, you're just going to let them, sink. And yesterday I was talking to a bunch of people around here about this, and they're like, well, you should always, you stand up for your values and things you want and the things you believe in at work, but it goes back to your must-haves and your wants, right? Your must-have, and if you can't be flexible, then you're going to fail. That's just it. And so being agreeable doesn't mean I agree, but it means I'm in a situation where I'm going to agree to do this because you guys feel strongly enough and you've maybe presented an argument that I may not agree with. But we're a team here. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can agree that that's the Twitter. See the way I did that there, kids? See the way I did that? Gas prices through the roof. You miss any of the program, make sure you grab the podcast. All great podcasts are available. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm going to do it, and it's the right thing for us to do. It's time to get rid of Russian oil. No more imports. We woke the guy up. Biden is his name, President of the United States. Huh? What? And he's like, yeah, I agree. And so we're doing that. So now, is it a massive amount of oil? It is not. But is it enough to disrupt an already volatile market and send prices sky high? Potentially. They're going up, and we haven't felt the brunt of it yet. I keep telling you guys that. Think of it as COVID, right? COVID, you'd see the cases spike, but then there was a lagging hospitalization and then deaths attributed to COVID. Well, it's the same thing here. What we've been feeling is the potential for the invasion and then the early part of the invasion. What we're going to be feeling now is the swift embargoes, all of those. These things are what we're going to start to feel in the coming days. And with oil shooting up, it's over $130 a barrel. right now, Brent crude, is there a chance that we could see 150? I said, absolutely. Putin today said, oh, we're going to get it to 300 if you guys want to play that game. Settle down. Settle down. The reality is enough people on both the right and the left said this is the right thing to do. And Biden, I get, he's trying to play this game of not wanting to hurt the Americans in their pocketbook, but also understanding this is the right thing to do. So you hesitate in situations like this, but you shouldn't have. You shouldn't have. And it's good. But it does mean more expensive for us in every way.
Americans right now at these prices are spending about $250 million more a day on gasoline than they were a month ago. That means less money to go elsewhere. It also means that you're going to pay more for things like food, for things like your clothing, for things like flying, because all of these things take gasoline. They take fuel to run the business.
Yeah. And that is going to get, it's going to get uglier. I think most of us, and according to all the latest polls, we want to do more. We see what's going on. We're an emotional being, right? See Twitter. And it's the one thing we kind of all agree on for all intents and purposes. And we want to do more and saying, if it goes up to $4 or $4.50, I can do that if it means hurting Putin and helping the Ukrainians. $5, $6, $7? Well, hold on a second. That's a different story. What do you mean it's going to cost me more elsewhere, including the supermarket? Yeah. And California is going to get ugly. Why does that matter? Well, think about the ports we have there, getting stuff in and out. That's going to be painful. Think about the ships, the flying, all of those things are going to be felt. There is an effect that is going to take place. And it's not just, again, California right now, I can't even imagine what that looks like in 2 weeks.
Today, AAA puts the average price of regular unleaded here in California at $5.44 a gallon, but there are many areas where it is $6 a gallon in California. Few were at $7 a gallon already. There are real fears among drivers here in this state over what our gas prices are about to be. Will California be seeing $8 and $9 gas or higher?
Is that a possibility? Absolutely. It's not just there, though. Case in point, Michigan. People are struggling there as well. Across the country, they're feeling it.
I come here because they're traditionally a little bit lower than other gas stations, but today all of them are high.
On average, people are paying about $4 a gallon for unleaded gas. That's about $60 to fill up a 15-gallon tank.
I think that is ridiculous. I think children have to get to school. I think people have to go to work. And I think it's just a situation that's being taken advantage of right now.
It's really not. It's not. It's just the world of geopolitics. The world of a horrible, horrible Richard. We'll call him Vlad, the Richard, who is deciding that his destiny is to invade the democratic country with their democratically elected president and to take them over because they are Russia's heartbeat, except for the fact that they've been around longer than Russia, and now they're talking about taking statehood away from them. And that's what all this is about. The EU's jumping on board and trying to move their dates of getting off certain fossil fuels up quicker. This is all happening. And while that's going on, the battle is still happening, and the battle is getting uglier and uglier. Refugees, the numbers are climbing, and what could they be?
They believe that there will be about 4 million refugees when this is over out of the country. But internally, they say there are going to be 12 million people who are going to need relief and protection inside this country. So the scale of this is going to truly be unprecedented if it isn't already right now.
Yeah. It's 12 million. 4 million have are expected to get out. About 2 million have. I watched these some of these YouTubers, and my uncle's watched them for a while, and you guys have heard me talk about them. They're Russian, and then I found a guy and his girlfriend who are Ukrainian, about the same age, and just the difference of how they live their lives, and compared to what we do, it's insane. And there's another Russian girl. She's about 30, and she does YouTube videos, and popped up with, hey, you might like this, and I clicked on one of them because it was very interesting. So she and her daughter and her mom and dad, they fled to Poland. It took her 4 days to go 30 miles. Soak that up for a second. 4 days. 4 days. That's the kind of insanity we're seeing. The Polish people are being great. It was a great picture yesterday of all these Polish mothers and fathers who've gone and they've left their baby carriages at the stations. So when mothers show up and they don't have anything, they're carrying their possessions, and they have a child, that they could just take one of these and go. They're doing all they can. That's why we need to make sure they have every single thing that we can get them in Poland to make sure that they have all of the money they need and the food to make sure this doesn't become a burden and a nightmare to Poland. And Poland understands, like, they've been invaded. They get it. They absolutely get it. But we all have to do our part. Some of it's paying, again, a little bit more for gas, but it's hard to say, if you're making 40 grand a year and that's going to hurt you, inflation's already just really crimping into everything you do. That's a tough thing. If you're making 150 grand a year and life's not bad, it's like, this sucks and it's an inconvenience, but I'll be fine. But I think we need to remember who we are, where we are, how blessed we are. Then you've got the other side of it, which is the war itself. And they're not stopping. Again, I don't know how this ends for Zelensky. I don't know how this ends for the Ukrainians short term. I think long term, they win the occupation. I think long term, they win that. I think short term, they're going to more than give them hell. He spoke with David Muir today for ABC News, as well as addressed Parliament and several other things, and was seen him for the first time on television in his actual office sometime in the last 24 hours. But they did speak with David Muir of ABC News.
The Pentagon, of course, here in the U.S., believes that about 95% of Russian troops that had been amassed along the Ukrainian border are now inside Ukraine. That would be nearly 150,000 troops. How long can the Ukrainian military, the Ukrainian people, hold off the Russians?
I'm sure that Ukrainians are prepared to stand against Russia for their entire lives. Even the cities that were occupied by a Russian military, they have seen the response and feedback from ordinary people. These ordinary people didn't have machine guns. This courage is something that is unprecedented, and Russian soldiers don't even have that courage.
No. And a lot of these Russian soldiers, by the way, are just clueless. They don't know what's going on. And, it goes against the Geneva Convention to broadcast certain situations, of hostages. But they've been broadcasting the soldiers calling home, and almost to a person, they're all saying the same thing, especially the younger ones, which is they were lying. There's no Nazis here. This isn't the second coming of the Third Reich. There's none of this stuff. They weren't welcoming us with open arms and flowers. They were shooting at us. And why that matters is because if you go back and you see how the struggles of Afghanistan went for the Russians, one of the things that the tide started to turn within Russia was the mothers were upset about what was going on in Afghanistan. all the children, their husbands that they were losing. They started to make a stink. They grew louder, and it was becoming something that was becoming untenable in certain places within Russia. And so they're saying, hey, here's the significance of this. You call your mom and dad. Tell them you're okay. And they're scared. One guy, he's sitting there, and he's like, I'm not fighting Nazis. And they're doing like a Zoom call or a Skype call, and he takes his jacket off, and he goes, look, they shot me, and then they fixed me. But it's going to take a while. I'll tell you what, it ain't going to be easy to get to Putin. And he's on this bizarre destiny kick that I have no idea how this ends for him. There's no good exit now for him. There isn't. There's no exit where he walks away and gets welcomed back in the world. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Give it to my dogs every day. Give it to my dog Doodle, who's old, he's crotchety, he's alive. I love him. I do. Right? He's a pain in my butt, but when I come home at night and he bounces up and down and does circles, it's hilarious. He's just, the fact that he's lived as long as he did, the only thing we can talk about is Rough Greens. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-369. It's all amazing what goes into this. And all it is a supplement. It goes on top of your dog's food, and you watch what happens. It changes so many things for my dog. His hips are better. Their digestive tracts are great. They've had zero allergy issues, all for this one little thing. Right now, I want you to try it before you buy it. Rough Greens is going to send you a bag for free. You cover the cost of shipping. RUFFgreens.com/Chad. Roughgreens.com/Chad. Get you a free bag of Rough Greens or call 833-MY-DOG-77. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Irreverence? Yeah. So what? It's the Chad Benson Show.
What are Americans scared of? According to a Gallup poll, cyber terrorism, the use of computers to cause disruption or fear in society. Number one thing, 82% of Americans are scared of that. Development of nuclear weapons by North Korea. Don't be scared of that. Why you would scare of that? Development of weapons by Iran. Again, the military power of China is up there as well. Don't be scared of that. And be honest with you, that's something they are still light years behind us. And and it's weird because economically there's a battle going on, right? Like good, evil, which way are people going to go? Authoritarian, autocrats, or are we going to head over here to freedom, the beacon on the hill, the light, the shining? That's the world's got to choose from those things. But they've got a military. They do. But we spend $750 billion. But our hypersonic missiles don't work, and theirs do. Really? Well, yeah, I read it yesterday. But really? Oh, did you read something that somebody wanted you to read? Because, we don't tell everybody all the stuff, right? There's a reason that DARPA gets God knows how much. If you don't know what DARPA is, just think it's it's the kind of thing where they would look at the president and go, yeah, you don't have that kind of clearance. Like if there was aliens, DARPA knows. Global warming, though, it's all the way down here at the bottom. Just above large number of immigrants entering in the country illegally and the conflict between the Israelis and Palestinians. Infectious disease, only got 64% of people are worried about that. But terrorism, both regular and cyber, was up there. We'll see. I mean, again, it's hard to worry about this stuff, and I know that people are thinking that this is going to go nuclear at any given point. Is it possible? Anything is possible. Is it likely? Because people that know Putin or have worked with him say, look, he's not as crazy as you would think he is. But then you have other people saying, well, now he's in a position where he's got no choice but to eventually go nuclear. And again, only he knows what's going on in his mind. I just don't think the nuclear option at this moment in time is something that he's going to do. Because there's no win in it. At the end of the day, those missiles are pointed at him just like they're pointed at us. China going to get in? Again, how many subs do we have sitting out there that could wreak havoc? I mean, this is all... Russia's done this to themselves. But it's understandable when you hear somebody who's got nuclear weapons go, I could go nuclear. Shut up. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Brittany Griner. She's been seen. Talk about it straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This weekend, former President Trump had an interesting idea. He said that the U.S. should paint Chinese flags on its planes and then bomb Russia. So if you're wondering what Trump has been up to lately, the answer is huffing glue. I don't know. These are the types of ideas you come up with after you stare at the sun too long. Do you know what I'm talking about? Then Trump said that he would stop Russian tanks by painting a tunnel on the side of a mountain so they slam into it. Neat.
He's kidding, of course. Oh, I wasn't kidding. It's totally truthful. It's totally truthful. Yeah. He also talked to John Daly, the golfer, if you guys don't know who he is. Daly recorded it. A little tough to hear, but we'll give it a listen here. So John Daly, the golfer, and Trump, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, likes golf, but he and Daly were having a chat, and Daly was asking him stuff like, Ukraine and whatnot, and Putin.
People saying, oh, he's a nuclear power. It's like they're afraid of him. He was a friend of mine. I got along great with him. I say, Vladimir, if you do it, we're hitting Moscow. I said, we're going to hit Moscow. And he sort of believed me, like 5%, 10%. That's all you need. He never did it during my time, John,
He said, he's a nuclear power. He's like, yes, so are we. And he was a friend of mine. But I told Vladimir, if you do anything, I'm going to hit Moscow. He sort of believed me, 5, 10%. That's all you need. Yeah, exactly. That's all you need. Oh, but he's got to have something on Trump. That's why he didn't. Some of those people out there. Again, I'm no Trump apologist because I didn't like the man, but I liked a lot of stuff, and I didn't really care about the tweets other than it was just a nightmare all the time. But he was, he was Trump. And I'll take you back to 2019. And, this is going to get a lot of play over the next couple days.
And you're paying, $2 a gallon for your gasoline? That's okay. You know what that's like? That's like a tax cut. That's bigger than a tax cut. If Biden got in, you'd be paying $7, $8, $9. Didn't they say, get rid of your car?
They would never say, get rid of your car.
Last month, we announced a $5 billion investment to build out a nationwide electric vehicle charging network so that people from rural to suburban to urban communities can all benefit from the gas savings of driving an EV. Clean transportation can bring significant cost savings for the American people as well.
Yeah, it's expensive still because people want they want the Tesla. Nobody wants to drive the stupid Prius. They want the Tesla. Those are expensive. They're nice. I love me a Tesla. I thought about getting one. Now I'm thinking about it more, to be honest with you. Not going to lie to you. I'm thinking about it more because, prices are going to go up. Going to get ugly. Going to get uglier in the coming days and weeks. And it's just how long Because look, according to all of the latest polls, right? Right. So new Quinnipiac poll today, 63% of Americans are concerned Russia may use nuclear weapons. 7 out of 10 say U.S. troops should get involved if Russia invades a NATO country. Essentially, we are all on board with the pooter and getting him, right? We're on board with getting the pooter and pushing his forces back and stopping this nightmare that's happening. That being said, like everything else, we're an emotional creature. And you might want to take a step back and go, Arr. Do we really want to do that? Do we understand what that actually means? That means war with another nuclear power. War with a nuclear power that could strike. And by the way, it doesn't have to be us. You hope it's nobody. Doesn't mean you can't fire on London. Doesn't mean you can't fire on Paris. And at that point, all bets are off. Because, by the way, they have nuclear weapons. And now we've got a nuclear war. We got to stop telling hey, we're not going to do this and we're not going to do that. Stop saying that. Wall Street Journal had an article yesterday. It was awesome. It's basically, hey, stop telling Putin all the things we won't do. Trump used to, he would always say, why are you guys telling everybody what you guys are and aren't going to do? Stop it. And I thought, that's a smart thing. But in this, you're clear. We will not hit first. But if hit, we will hit second and we will hit last. And you make that clear. And you would like to think there are cooler, calmer heads that in a situation, if it escalated, because I still am of the opinion that at some point in time, he is going to head for a NATO country, whether it's a Baltic country, and he is going to see how united NATO is. And will they back up all this talk of unity? That I don't know. I believe we will at this point in time. I believe he's leaving us no choice. It's what it says in Article 5. I've always kind of felt that it's one of those things where if he ever did attack, that at some point in time, it'd kind of be us and the Brits, and we'd be looking around going, really? Everybody left? And then the Poles. Okay, cool. And there's like, but now I think it's definitely a different world, and he has caused that. He's caused us to get closer. Something he didn't want. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. WNBA star Brittany Griner is and she's probably the biggest star in the WNBA. Like, what's the WNBA? I know, we joke about it. But she was in Russia playing basketball. She's been doing it since 2014. This is the way it works. You play in the WNBA, you make a couple $100,000 a year. All of these women then go to Europe and they play in a season that's shorter, and they make 5 times as much, 6 times, 7 times as much. Some are making $1 million, $1.5 million a year to play. She's been playing for the same team during this time of year since 2014. She was arrested for apparently having hash oil in a vape. And now, of course, they released photos of her today standing there, and she's holding a piece of paper. She faces 10 years in prison. Family of Trevor Reed, he's a retired Marine from Texas, been locked up in Russia since 2019, says, I don't know if I believe this because, well, Russians, as we know, kind of do what Russians want to do. And you have to be you have to be aware of that they at any given time can do whatever the hell they want to do. And in a time that is, for all intents and purposes, tense. There's no doubt that this could be an issue. And part of it is you got to go and say, all right, who the hell's this club? Right? Oh, she was playing for some of these. Because what happens is the people that own these teams, they're oligarchs. It's fun. It's play. It's play. It's not real. It's play money. And it's fun for them. It's a toy. And it's a great way for them to launder money and do stuff like that. And the team she was playing for at the Kattenberg, UMMC at the Kattenberg, basically is like the dominant team in Russia. Here's what they've won. Are you guys ready? 2002, 2003, they won the championship. 2009, 2010, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. You get where I'm going there? They win. Pay a lot of money, and they win. You go play for these teams. The oligarchs are there. You kind of get a free run of stuff. You get to do things others can't. You're taken care of in great ways. And now the oligarchs' money's all dried up at this point in time. Russia is in the crosshairs financially of the world. So things that maybe she could have gotten away with, if this is to be true, that she did have some hash oil on her, she might not be. Now, do I believe this? I don't know what to believe. I mean, I think she knows the laws by now. But that doesn't mean that she did anything wrong. And it doesn't mean that, she's getting out of this. And there is nobody to turn to now. In a situation like this, I've watched enough Locked Up Abroad to know that a situation like this usually goes, the embassy, somebody shows up, says, spoken to your parents, this is the way this is going to go, and here's a lawyer, something of that nature. We'll do what we can, but there's only so much we could do. There's nobody to turn to now. And in fact, many of the countries we would turn to say, hey, could you go help? They're not there either. So could she spend 10 years in prison? It's a possibility. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't know. I don't know. Will she be used as a pawn? Oh, yeah, she will. You betcha. You betcha she's going to be used as a pawn. It's just what game is being played right now. And I saw today, they're like, oh, they've signed a petition to have her freed. I'm like, oh, I'm sure the Russians are like, oh, well, they signed a petition. They went to moveon.org, and wow. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Gas prices getting ready to rocket. That is the reality of what we're looking at. It sucks, but there wasn't any choice. I'm glad. Trust me, I don't think it was an easy choice for Biden.
He has been hesitant, though, to take this additional step of banning Russian oil and gas, knowing far well that it could exacerbate the already high oil and gas prices that are really taking a toll on Americans here at home.
Yeah, because that's the other side of it, right? It's affecting us, and at a time when you're running to make sure that your party stays in power, because you understand that if that power goes away, you're going to spend 2 years as a lame duck, having all your bills killed, and that's something you don't want to be a party to. Getting your ass handed to you on a daily basis with investigation after investigation, nothing getting through. That's not something I'm sure you're thrilled by. So, plus the average person is seeing this with inflation and all of these things. They're getting kicked in the grundle on a daily basis, and the grundle kicking is not stopping, and it's only going to get worse. It's not that there is a lot of oil that we were importing. It's just any oil at this moment in time that is disrupted causes the waves to be tsunamis. And we'll see if it's going to get worse before it gets better. My assumption is it's going to get worse. How much worse? Do I think 200 is in play? That might be a bit much. Do I think 150 is in play? Yeah, I do. Do I think $5 national average is in play? I do. I'd like to be wrong. And for California, for those of you in California, let me translate. $9, $10 for you. Got you covered over there. Ugly before better, but it will get better. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Come back. We will wrap it up. Chad Benson Show.
If you like talk radio like Chad Benson likes his meals, you've come to the perfect place for takeout.
Activision Blizzard. Alcoa. BBC. Bloomberg. BNP Paribas. Boeing. Canadian Goose. Dell. Ericsson. Estee Lauder. These are all countries. Harley Davidson. These are all businesses that have pulled out of Russia. You can go down the list. Lego, Levi Strauss, Mango, McKinsey, Mercedes-Benz, Nokia. I mean, you go all the way down, and Subaru, Swatch, Swatch Group, Rolex. They own everything in the world pretty much. Omega, all these major, huge. Toyota. You go down, my goodness, Yum Brands. YouTube. Who are the companies that remain? Well, you've got Starbucks, Papa John's, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Herbalife. I don't know how that would even work. Herbalife. That's not like a. I don't know how that works. Some of these I go, it's like, okay, Hilton. Are you just going to close all your locations? Probably. Right? Some of them, it's interesting. Starbucks is one. It's 130. McDonald's gets 9% of the revenue from Russia and the Ukraine, approximately $2.3 billion. 84% of the stores in Russia that are McDonald's are company-owned. So they're not franchises. The one that would take the biggest hit is Caterpillar. So Citibank has $9.8 billion in net exposure to Russia, but Caterpillar actually gets 8% of its revenue, about $4 billion. I didn't know Caterpillars did that well from Russia. So that would be interesting. But these are some of them. People are asking questions about Pepsi, Starbucks, Papa John's. Just what are you guys doing there? Mars, which is not the planet, but think of the candy. Marriott, Kraft Heinz. Revenue is not disclosed with them, but they do have 1,500 employees in Russia. And you're looking, going, you need to close all of these things down. And they're probably looking at how they go about doing that. Warner Media, as we know, paused any new content being released over there. It's going to be interesting to see how this, again, it's an economic war at this point in time. And America, we're in the middle of it. We are. And we're going to be the driving factor in the economic side of things. Outside of that, though, the reality is we're not quite there on the fighting side, but God willing, we won't be. But, of course, today, the big news.
Today, I'm announcing the United States is targeting the main artery of Russia's economy. We're banning all imports of Russian oil and gas and energy.
Yeah. Which is going to send the market up even higher. It's well over $131 as we speak.
That means Russian oil will no longer be acceptable at U.S. ports, and the American people will deal another powerful blow to Putin's war machine. So be prepared. In the next 7 days, you're going to see another spike in gas prices, and you're going to see it, consistently. But it will come down. At some point, this is going to give way. And we need to be producing here. We need to be, once again, the exporter that we were a few years ago. But it's going to be tough for a while. No doubt about that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. It's your Twitter. Fun show today. I want to give a big shout out to my wife. Love you, baby. Happy, happy, happy birthday to her. You guys have a blessed, amazing, incredible day. We'll do it again tomorrow. Get yourself some tacos. Night-night, Jack.
The Chad Benson Show.